It's panel time. Welcome back. As we mentioned at the top of the hour, states where Democrats control the state legislature are looking to redraw their own congressional maps in response to what we're seeing in Texas with redistricting efforts, with some Democratic governors like New York's Kathy Hochul arguing the ends justify the means. Joining me now is our panel, Kevin Frey, Washington correspondent for New York News 1, Democratic strategist Amisha Cross, and Republican strategist Lance Trover. We're talking about your governor, so let's put it right on you.
Oh, good.
What do you think is at risk for Governor Hochul, and what is the potential upside when you consider how she is addressing this crisis in Texas?
Right. So, I mean, from a starting point, let's just acknowledge that the likelihood of anything happening, at least in New York, before 2026, because of the way the state constitution works,
rules are different.
It's just not going to happen.
Okay.
And 2028 is more or less what they're looking at. Nonetheless, for Governor Hochul, a few years ago, when she was on the ballot the last time up for election, she was blamed by no less than Nancy Pelosi for costing Democrats control of the House of Representatives. So she is looking to try to look aggressive, that she is fighting for the Democrats. And so this is a chance for her to kind of show some of that, if you want to say gravitas, that I'm in control, I'm fighting for my party as she heads into this next election.
And Amisha, governors are certainly sounding like they're in the fight for not just this contest and this set of issues, but the larger political landscape, and maybe reaching not only into the midterms, but to put themselves on the national landscape for 2028. So how are you assessing Governor Pritzker, Governor Hochul, and how they're involved in this so far?
Well, I think that the Democratic governors, are very well aware of what the polling looks like for Democrats broadly. And spoiler alert, it's not looking great.
The brand has been harmed, right? The brand has been really
They know that the brand is tarnished, and they have a bit of leeway that congressional Democrats do not. Being that they can, charter the course for their states. They're also obviously looking at 2028. J.B. Pritzker was looking at 24 to be a vice presidential candidate. At this point, I think that what we're seeing in Illinois and Chicago is my hometown. We're seeing a guy who also knows his polling. He's seen national polls on what 2028 could look like for him. He's teetering in like the 3 to 4% range. He's hoping that some of this is actually going to help him.
Maybe, yes.
Exactly. Get him some more of a national profile. But with that being said, he runs into somewhat of a situation that might be similar to New York. No, it's not codified that Illinois can't reshape its redistricting. They've done it multiple times. He's redrawn that map, and he's mapped out and eradicated certain Republican legislators. But I do think that there are only a handful of Democratic states that can pull this off, because you need a trifecta. You need a Democratic House, you need a Democratic Senate, you need a Democratic governor as well. And that's just not the case for the majority of states with Democratic governors. But they also led independent maps movements. And when you lead an independent maps movement and then you come back and say that, hey, legislators shouldn't be able to choose their voters, then that kind of kills you. So there are a lot of places that are hamstringed by their own constitutions
card,
and
yes,
that.
Yeah. Lance, talk to me about the congressman who wants to try to put into place a more permanent resolution to this issue. And does that have legs?
The law from Kevin Kiley's day? Yeah,
yes.
I mean, look, Kevin Kiley is a great congressman. He's a young congressman. He's an up-and-comer. He's certainly somebody who doesn't want to get drawn out. I think he wants to stick around.
Some self-preservation there, yes.
But he's a strong... Look, to Amisha's point, we're both from Illinois. I don't know what else in states like Illinois and California they can do. It's 43-9 in California, where there's a supposed independent commission. And in Illinois, there's only 3 Republicans left. So I'm not sure what else they could do. It's also a little, to your point, a little hypocritical of J.B. Pritzker, who ran and campaigned on an independent maps program and has signed one of the most lopsided maps in the country that we see right now. Look, I think when it comes down to it, this is going to spawn a broader discussion here in this country, and I think the Kevin Kiley bill is a start to seeing that.
Which would prevent legislatures from doing it mid-decade. Yes, for people who don't remember, it's done after the census, when you have a better picture of who's in each state. That's when the lines are drawn.
And I do want to add, the one thing that you've seen from the Democrats in terms of at least Governor Hochul's messaging today is that Trump has changed the paradigm, and thus all the old rules are out. And
are there no rules then?
Well, then you become kind of this ripple effect, right, where it's basically no holds barred and all states kind of rushing to the extremes.
But you also can't play the game with old rules when they are desperately redesigning at the same time.
The old
so Democrats have decided,
back, right?
Exactly, they've decided they're going to actually get into the fight. Whether or not their voters actually recognize that this is a real fight is going to be, up for grabs.
Well, I would argue the Democrats have been, they have been fighting the map in North Carolina. They've tried to do it in Wisconsin as well. So it's not like they're immune and this is completely new to them. They have been fighting in other states as well.
One dimension of politics has always been work the rules to your best advantage. If you're a candidate or you're a party, I mean, that's always been at play. But it does seem like there's a shift in what participants agree are the rules, because the mid-decade thing is kind of a new interpretation. How do you interpret how voters may respond to this? Are they tracking it? Are they paying attention? Do they care about this?
I mean, this is like one of the difficulties of redistricting, and this is just like a practical sense, is it's very complicated and it's very boring.
Yes.
And so I think there is a chance, if lawmakers continue to elevate this to a large talking point, that perhaps they'll be more engaged. But even just think of it from a television perspective. Showing two maps next to each other on a screen becomes very confusing and very boring.
We are doing
and
our
so
best.
How do you keep lawmakers that engaged, or voters that engaged?
We're holding our audience right now. What do you think in terms of what this does for donors? Is what these Texas lawmakers who've gone to blue states, do you hear the cash register ringing?
Well, I think that Democrats are hopeful that more donations will come in, because what we have seen is a huge drop-off since the last election cycle.
Sure.
Part of that, again, is based on polling and where things are currently standing for Democrats. The other part, I think, is that, quite frankly, there has not emerged a strong enough figure to show people the way. Democrats, unlike Republicans, are still trying to find who that next, messianic figure is going to be to save them. And unfortunately, there are way too many people who aren't on one accord, and it has become very difficult for them to get out of that wilderness. I do think that for voters, the mainstay issue is always going to be the mainstay issue. They're going to care about their personal economies, their pocketbooks, the results of what these tariffs are looking like on the price of groceries, the price of gas, whether or not they can go on vacations with their family, the rising student loan debt and lack of repayment options. There are so many things that are cost analyses that they're worried about, not necessarily the maps.
Well, let me tempt you all with another scintillating topic, and that is the BLS firing. So, Lance, when you look at this, typically, this part of the government is immune from the day-to-day politics. Sure. Do you think there's a price for the president to pay for this firing? There have been plenty of times he's been happy with revisions that went his way.
I think this falls into the category. I'm not sure voters are going to be really super upset about it. Look, he certainly has the right to do what he did last week. And I'm not one of these people who just freaks out at every decision he makes. A lot of people on the left love to do that. Whoever he chooses will have to go through a Senate process. They will have to go through a questioning and hearing, and they will have to get through a narrowly divided Senate. So I'm not particularly worried about it.
Do you have any sense, as kind of the Republican at the table, that there is evidence that this was being manipulated in a way? There's a difference between slow data and cumbersome data and willful manipulation.
I think there is nothing wrong with asking questions about the process. I mean, when you come in and say, okay, well, here were the numbers, and but we're going to change it by 200,000 this time, or last year where it was 800,000. I mean, we talk about giving certainty to businesses and the community out there in America writ large. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking those types of questions and saying, is this the proper process that we should be going through?
Well, I think we've done our part to make these rather dry topics interesting. And thank you for coming.
Did not mean to
No. I know. I'm right there with you. I'm in. We enjoy this. So thank you for your expertise. Appreciate your time being with us today. Kevin, Amisha, Lance, glad you were here. Hope you'll be back again.